Hi everyone, welcome to episode 201 of the Mighty Whites podcast. I'm Jack, as always joined by KC.
Hello.
And wow, 2 in a row. We must really be special in his heart. It's Chris Concannon. How you doing, mate?
Nada boys, how you doing? You alright?
Yeah, pretty good. Knackered and pissed off with Leeds United, but other than that,
standard though.
Yeah.
I quite like the lengths Jack has gone to now. We've done this for over 200 episodes. He's now started decorating Leeds theme behind him.
Yeah, I've done that. Our last didn't do that while I was at work or anything.
The upside down training top is masterful.
Well, it needs to be upside down. You know, like putting the flag upside down when the country's in crisis. It's a bit like that.
So our badge upside down mean health, we're going down.
Yeah. We'll just get straight into it. Skubala and Armas and Penis Biter Gallardo have been given the job. It's like it just said for the upcoming games. So I'm taking that to mean at least Everton and Southampton.
You'd have thought so, wouldn't you?
Is it until we can negotiate Nuno down from 6.5 million to 4?
I think it's until we can get some fucker to take the job, to be honest. I am fuming at the entire way that this has been handled.
Still waiting for that white smoke.
Yeah, they had, but I mean, they've had so many times. Like, obviously, I did briefly say on here after the Brentford game, he's kept us up. I wouldn't mind so much if we changed now. But that would have been too harsh. But after the Fulham game, October, most people thought it was time to sack Marsch. You had a couple of games before the World Cup, then a World Cup break. It's the perfect time to make that change. You have so much time to do it. But we get the win at Anfield, beat Bournemouth. There's still the exact same issues. Most people, I would say, still thought that we should change at the World Cup. But they backed him. And fair enough, if you're backing him and publicly backing him, that is fine. They give him the time, they give him the transfer window. We have the best window we've had in January for a long time, in theory. We buy players that suit him. Window shuts. Right, we set up to go. We play one game after the transfer window shuts, lose it, and they sack him.
Yeah.
Well, all right, but at least they have definitely sorted the succession planning. It's only the next day that Radrizzani says it'll be sorted tonight or tomorrow. Well, that was 9 days ago. Like, at every fucking stage of this, the board have just fucked about, and it really does give a lot of credence to everyone's theory that the 49ers and Rads and Orta can't agree on anything, so fuck all gets done.
Yeah. It don't do out to help it, does it?
No.
No, it does. It smacks of cockiness to think that we could go to a team that is competing for Champions League places in Spain or in the Netherlands and think, oh yeah, we could take their managers.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like we probably could have got Iraola in principle.
Yeah, but ultimately, you've also got to know that they will be vaguely open to, that as a club they are vaguely open to that idea.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised they don't want to lose their manager.
Yeah,
I don't know. The thing that gets me with Radrizzani, and it's one of very few faults I can pick with him, the way he's gone about barring Bielsa, the way he's gone about appointing managers, and let's face it, again, barring Bielsa, it's been pretty shocking.
Yeah, I mean, which ones are actually his? Him and Orta. That's Christensen, Heckingbottom, Bielsa,
Marsch. So you've got Bielsa in there. I mean, I know... Sorry, mate, go on.
The Marsch appointment, I sort of get, I know none of us liked it because it was replacing Bielsa.
Yeah.
But obviously it was pretty much in place that Marsch was going to come in at the end of the season. Yeah. So I can at least understand the way that happened.
Yeah.
But the other two that we went from a manager who has very little experience had no experience in sort of any major division as good as it is to manage Apoel and win the title year on year, and then to go, well, we'll go from that to a manager who, what was it? He'd won 2 out of 21 games or something like that when we hired him.
It was a shockingly similar record to Marsch's.
Yeah. Who, I was going to say, played a different style of football, played no style of football at that point, and has clearly sort of developed some sort of tactical nous in that time. But yeah, it just, there was no succession plan there. We obviously, I don't want to say got lucky with Bielsa, because it was a long, drawn-out negotiation, and it actually was the most ambitious move they could have pulled off and did. But then trying to sell Marsch to us as a natural successor, which I think put a lot of people's backs up within the first couple of games. If you hadn't followed Marsch and what he'd been doing in the Red Bull stable, to then go, well, this is outside of the concept of pressing. This is very little like Bielsa.
Yeah.
I mean,
whoever followed him were going to be on an hiding to know, weren't they? Unless they came in and hit the ground running majorly. Whoever followed Bielsa, it was always going to be a tough call.
That's why you get David Moyes in.
Moyes in. See, this is where we missed the turn, but we should have just gone and got Harry Redknapp.
Well, I'll mention that because there is a story going round today that he is willing to come out of retirement if Leeds offer him the job. Don't worry, Harry, we're not going to. Although it would almost be worth it just to watch KC's reaction.
I fucking hate Harry Redknapp.
Really, the timing's all wrong. If it had been a month ago, just to have him hanging out of a car window on transfer deadline day, it'd have been worth it just for that.
We've poached Charlie Austin from Swindon.
We'd have had Odin Wingy sat outside ground waiting for a move that never happened. It'd have been great.
I mean, yeah, as desperate as this hunt for a manager has become, I'm going to say no thank you on Harry Redknapp.
Are you sure?
Yes. Would I rather have Harry Redknapp or Neil Warnock? Honestly,
that's a big shout.
I think I'm leaning towards Warnock.
I would say Warnock has got more Premier League teams relegated than Redknapp. Just. I think I may be forgetting something.
Listen, if it was till the end of the season, Harry Redknapp turns up and everyone plays 5-a-side till the end of the season, is really happy, and that keeps us up.
No,
is as good as that goes.
We'd finish bottom, no doubt.
It's because we have
obviously,
Charlie Austin.
So, look, obviously, all of that management stuff was shite. But there are a couple of things before we get into the actual Scum game. Now, look, I was well on the record of saying I wanted Marsch sacked and had done for a while. But just from their point of view, if you haven't actually got the next manager sorted, in theory, we have gone from Jesse Marsch, who has been managing for years. It didn't go well, but he has managed in a top European league. And we have gone from that to his assistant, the 21s coach, and the 21s coach assistant. Now, for what it's worth, I actually think that Skubala will be every bit as good as Marsch would be, and maybe he'll do better because the players, just in interviews and stuff, they seem to be talking more highly of him than they did of Marsch. So it'll probably end up good. But in theory, that is still a backward step. And it's a backward step from someone I didn't want. Like, it's just a terrible way to run a football club. And also, after the Bournemouth game on November 5th, when Victor Orta was sarcastically shouting, "Hey, sack the board," after all of that, we're the only Premier League team that hasn't won since then.
Yeah. And let's face it, we were shite in that Bournemouth game.
Yeah, we should have lost that.
Yeah, we were awful in that Bournemouth game.
I am glad I have reached a stage where, despite, and here's the thing, that Radrizzani overall has still been a good owner. Like, like he has.
Other than like the managerial appointments, he's done everything that he said he would do in terms of the ground, Thorpe Arch, everything like that. He ultimately oversaw building a team that got us promoted back to Premier League. He got us Bielsa in the end.
Yeah.
So overall, you've got to rate him as a success. But me personally, now I think he's reached a stage where he can do no more. Can Radrizzani, and I don't fault the bloke. I've if, in years to come, if someone were to ask me what I thought of his time there, I'd say vast majority brilliant. Can't fault the bloke, but I just don't think he's got enough resources now, personally, to take him to that next level.
I don't just think it's resources. I think his head's gone.
I think, like you say, one of the big complaints was about the lack of investment, especially last year. And I think as it goes, that was the point when ultimately the crime was him not having enough money at that stage. Because especially that summer, after a really strong finish.
Yeah, well, after the 9th place.
Yeah. You just like, if you get the 3 right players in to add to that squad, it's great. And some of this is on them, some of this is on Bielsa.
Yeah.
Junior Firpo, at best I'll give him to the end of this season to reserve how much of a failure he has been. But I think by the end of this season, he will still be deemed a failure.
Yeah.
I am willing to believe that Bielsa was very much one who would have been happy for them to push for Dan James when he came in.
Yeah.
But did we need to spend £25 million on a winger who wasn't as good as the wingers we had, and then we used as a striker and was highly ineffective? Oh my God, no.
I think the thing that annoyed me as well with Firpo, and to be fair, this isn't his fault, it was the fact that we had Alioski there, and for what Firpo's done, in hindsight, you pay Alioski the bit more that he wanted, and you keep Alioski.
In hindsight, you do. But what I will say is, like, at the time, in theory, Firpo was a big upgrade on Alioski.
Oh yeah,
and he should have been. It's just not worked.
No.
Yeah, the idea that I don't think even taking out Firpo's performances, no one was to see how many periods he would be out injured for in that time.
Now, he had a fairly bad history with it, but I don't think anyone knew. I don't think that people realised it was quite this bad.
Yeah, at least, if that was the case, we should have at least kept Niall Huggins around a bit longer.
Niall Huggins, who of course went to Sunderland and was immediately out for 14 months with an injury.
Yeah, it's fine. Wouldn't have happened if he'd have stayed here. The training regime, it was a lot lighter than it was at Sunderland.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've had the missed opportunity, but the one thing I was just going to say before we get into the Scum game itself, we were on about it before, and I like asking this question when we're in the shit, and we've been in the shit for 2 years, so it's come up a lot. Confidence level in terms of staying up, where are you?
I think we'll do it just. It'll be like last season again. I think we'll do it just.
Sorry, I'm just loading up the manager odds at this point on Paddy.
I think Skoobs is very strong favourite at this point.
There's a lot of names of shit. Oh God, there's Harry Redknapp.
Yeah.
40-1.
I have said all season that I thought Leeds would have enough to stay up.
Yeah.
And this last 2 weeks is the first time where I have wavered.
Really?
If I was picking the table now, I think we're 18th. I still think Southampton and Bournemouth finish below us, but right now, just the way it's not even that the performance. I mean, there were 2 good performances against Man United, really. Well, the second one was. The first one we got into a lead and we could maybe have hung on. We didn't actually play that well, but we did play well at Ellen Road.
Yeah.
But I just look at the teams around us. I think Everton under Dyche will get out of it. West Ham are only a point ahead, but I think that they've got a better squad than us.
Yeah.
And then you've got Wolves and Forest. And although I think that we are probably as good as them, they have a 4 and 5 point head start on us.
Yeah.
And it gets talked about a lot. The Square Ball have mentioned it a few times. You normally need 9 wins, and we've got 4 in 22 games. And I'm struggling to see how we get 5.
I know where you're coming from, but if I'm being honest, I don't think Dyche is going to keep Everton up.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right.
I really don't. They've got a couple of decent players in that team at Everton. You take them out of it, they've spent a lot of money and they haven't got a right lot there. I mean, obviously they lost. Go on.
Richarlison?
No, well, with Charlton it's summer. Anthony Gordon. They've lost him. They've got Anana there who's a good player.
He's really good.
Other than that, really, you scrap him out. They have got Calvert-Lewin, but again, he's very much like the Bamford ilk, getting him fit.
Yeah, for what it's worth, he's had his press conference today. No Calvert-Lewin on Saturday.
There you go. You see,
and they've gone to, like, they started Ellis Sims, didn't they, against Liverpool the other night? Like, Neil Maupay's on the bench. He's only scored 1 goal in 25, which is only a slight decrease on his output at Brentford, to be fair, but he does work really hard.
No, he scored shitloads at Brentford. It was at Brighton he couldn't score.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
He scored about 9 against us in about 4 games.
We're going to say he likes a goal against us.
Yeah,
but no,
he's definitely starting on Saturday. Just because he'll be in Dyche's ear going, come on, I hate these fuckers.
It's obviously it's very tough to see where Everton are at the moment based off the absolutely predictable result of them beating Arsenal, because Dyche always beats Arsenal, and then not really putting up much fight in the Liverpool derby, the Merseyside derby the other week. I thought they were quite disappointing, the bits I saw of them Monday night.
Yeah, we were in a pub for that, so we weren't paying 100% attention, but Liverpool looked very, very comfortable.
And that's a Liverpool form. The Liverpool team is very out of form at the moment.
I was going to touch on that. You'd have thought after the Arsenal result, an unexpected result there, going into a Merseyside derby, I would expect Everton to be coming out there with, an extra spring in the step, and it just didn't. I saw a little bit of game, and they were just like you say, Liverpool, and this is a Liverpool team who haven't been great, but they seemed very, very comfortable. There were spells in that game where it was just like a training exercise to them almost. I just can't see Dyche having enough to keep that team in Premier League. I really can't.
Well, I really hope you're right, Con. But at the minute, we're just doing the same. We've had another one of the same thing. Leeds, better side for long periods, lose 2-0 to Scum. The performance clearly deserved more. Can we actually take anything from that, given the situation?
I think we're running out of time to be able to take positives from that. As much as they did play well in both games, and they deserve more than the 1 point that they took out of them, time's going to come upon us where we're like, well, it don't matter how we play now. We need goals, we need results, and we need them quick.
It's like a lot like the Spurs game, isn't it? Where you're ultimately there coming into these 2 games, we didn't really have any right to expect to get anything from them. Like, if you'd have said we will lose both those games, but they will be closer games than you'd imagine, you'd have gone, oh, I'll take that. If we are competitive, I can live with that.
Yeah.
So in the sense, yes, it's good that we got a point from those 2 games, because it's a point more than I think a lot of us were expected to get. But given the chances we created, especially on Sunday, it is disappointing that it's only the 1 point. If Somerville takes that chance instead of putting it over, it could be a very different game.
That was the big one for me in the ground. Yeah. That one looked like, I know that a tackle comes in on him afterwards and he's under a bit of pressure, but that's one that where you've got to hit the target, and if you hit the target, you probably score.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He gets to that ball first as Somerville, and like I say, I know there's pressure on him, but still, that needs to be going back in there.
Yeah, because all the other ones, as much as we did create other chances, like Somerville had a couple of other efforts that were well saved by De Gea, but they weren't bad efforts. Aronson had one late on that got blocked. One that I haven't seen back, but you will have seen it on telly, so you might have. Was it McKennie's header from the corner, where he got up really well and looked to be there, but he seemed to jump too early and he was on his way down.
Yeah, I know which one you mean. Yeah. It's one of them. If he jumps a second later, he's planting his forehead on that. But yeah,
because one of the things
KC
with McKennie is one of the things with McKennie is that everyone who's watched him throughout his career is like really, really good at heading the ball, especially at goal. Like he scores a lot of them, and so it was a really big chance, that one that he could do better. This game, for all it was a really good performance. It was a very good, very Marsch performance for most of it. You know, Leeds pressed in a 4. They pressed really well. They didn't quite go full bore. They were a little bit clever. They sort of let them play the ball to the fullbacks and then went, which was really good to see. And we kept winning the ball high up the pitch. They could not get out. I mean, as far as I know, Scum only had one chance in the first half, and it was in stoppage time when Max Verber had a brain fart and passed it straight to Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
And Meslier made a really good serve.
I can't think of what else clear cut. Maybe odd half chance, but no.
They had the header from the corner. In fact, it wasn't even a header; it was a deflection off us, wasn't it? That went just past the post. Straight after that.
Yeah, I did forget about that one.
Just past far post, is it that one you're on about?
Yeah, that was. Yeah. But that was literally that was resulting from the corner from that Fernandes chance.
Yeah, I had forgot about that one. To be fair,
but I don't know if I thought the press was very well organised again while Bamford was on the pitch, and it unfortunately
they will come to that.
I do think to call it a Marsch performance in terms of when we were in possession is probably a touch on the harsh side.
I would say that we only got possession in attacking areas via pressing. There was one big difference, which might be the one that you say, so I'll leave you to it.
Was it that every now and again we actually had the ball out wide?
We
seem to actually go through Somerville a lot more, which I'm guessing is because there's a lot of focus placed on Nonto in recent weeks, and if the thought process is to stop him.
I thought the main reason for that was that Malacia kept going inside from left back, so Somerville had room, whereas Dalot was staying wide, so Nonto had less room.
I was going to say in that first half, especially Nonto, I don't think for any fault of his own, he was quiet for me. I'm not saying he had a bad game, but he weren't his usual self.
I think I'd put him and Bamford in sort of the same bracket for the game on Saturday, in as much as I think they were both fairly quiet, but I think they kept their defender occupied.
Yeah.
And they say, given his form, these couple of months, you can't just ignore Nonto at this point. I think you've got to keep an eye on him. Yeah. Bamford, I thought, led the press really, really well. It was these couple of games where he started, and this is giving all the credit in the world to Rodrigo's having his best spell with us. It just works so much better with Bamford there. And I thought Harrison has probably looked the best at 10. Like, I know there's always a mistake in Jack Harrison somewhere. There's always a touch too many and not getting his pass away.
Yeah, he was very like that in this game. He had like 3 or 4 moments where he dallied on it and lost it. But outside of them, he was excellent throughout.
Yeah. When we talked before about whether you'd start Somerville or Aronson, I think ultimately, it proved to be, I know he didn't take a couple of his chances, but I think it was the right decision to start Somerville ahead of Aronson.
Yeah. The one build-up thing that I think where I think that there was a noticeable difference, and to be honest, it might well have just been personnel rather than tactical. We actually successfully played our way out from the back a little bit more. And it was by going down the left and going through Firpo. Because Firpo, just because he was having a decent game, he was far more comfortable playing those passes, especially one up the line ton on toe, than Strauch has been.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, we played our way out in that situation far more successfully than we seem to normally do. A lot of the time it has been ball to left centre-back, ball to Strauch. Strauch looks up, there isn't something there, back to the keeper, and Meslier just launches it anyway. Whereas that still happened a couple of times, but we were a bit better at that. The midfield, as I would expect in a game like this, because we have two players in there that are very good for when you have less than half the ball. They were both good. McKennie, again, I thought he was very good off the ball and better on the ball than he was at Old Trafford. But I'm still not late. I still think long term, if you get Locker in and put him in a free, I think that might work. But McKennie was definitely better on the ball in this one, barring there was one early on in the first half where he had loads of room to move into and all the space in the world and an easy pass, and he just blasted it past him straight out of play. And you went, ah!
There was, like you say, I think those two looked a lot better given that they were doing a mostly defensive job as well. And I think we can all appreciate the early Tyler Adams challenge on Sancho to turn him inside out.
And the McKennie one where he flew in as well.
Yeah, so McKennie launched himself in, didn't he, as well? Yeah.
The
Tyler one where that was something.
And again, I'll look at, and obviously we will come on to this, but I'll look at the quality that Everton have to play out from the back, and I don't think you can. It is too dissimilar how they lined up with Maguire and Shaw there. We're likely to go against Cody and Tarkowski, who are two defenders who aren't really the best ball playing central defenders.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna matter really, because I think they will pass the ball from the back for about 3 minutes until we press them well, and then Dyche will just go, okay, just go over the top.
Yeah,
and that's to be honest, that's what Man United didn't do, and it's what they probably should have.
Well, I was just going to say, how many times this year, whether it's resulted in a goal or not, have we been undone by a simple ball over the top?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
You didn't have to say over the top, to be honest. You could have just said simple ball.
Yeah, just simple through pass even, yeah.
But yeah, obviously for an hour, it's still 0-0, Leeds have missed chances, but everyone's delighted with the performance. And then there's two changes, I think, that change this game. And this is not slagging Rutter, because there's people on Twitter who have been, but there's been way more people going, how dare you slag someone off, when they haven't actually. They've just said he didn't have a very good game. Rutter for Bamford. On the ball, there was a couple of nice moments, but for the most part, he wasn't great. Off the ball, he just didn't seem to know where he was in the press. And from the stand-upper, when you've got almost a Football Manager top-down view, it was really noticeable.
Yeah.
But I think just as important was at about 3 minutes later, so basically in football terms at the same time, Malacia goes off for Lisandro Martinez, Shaw goes to left-back, and Lisandro Martinez makes their playing out from the back much better. I think their playing out from the back got 25% better, and our pressing got 25% worse. And all of that at the same time, I think that completely turned the game.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did we intercept a pass from De Gea, Maguire, or Shaw, especially, like you say, until that substitution happened?
There was a point where we got it off straight from De Gea like 3 times in about 5 minutes.
Because he kept going for that ball out to who would have been on the left wing for them at that point.
At that point, is that before Garnacho comes on?
Yeah, I think so.
Then
it was happening
Sancho,
in the first. So he's going for that diagonal
genuinely,
ball
I forgot played.
He was very quiet, wasn't he?
Tyler Adams got to him. He tried that diagonal pass out wide a few times, sort of up towards the halfway line, and just couldn't get the distance on it at all. Which again, it is stuff like that where you just think, if you're getting that much possession in their half, like just please do something with it.
Yeah. So I'll talk about it now because it was my first thought. When he went off, everyone around me was like, "Why is he taking Bamford off?" Yeah. And I gave Skubala the benefit of doubt. I said, he's been out injured for all that time. He played 70 minutes at Old Trafford on Wednesday. He's probably knackered. But Skubala, after the game, said it wasn't fitness related. It was tactical. He thought Rutter had a better shot at getting him behind. Well, I mean, this isn't slagging him because sometimes changes work, sometimes they don't. That was a bad change. It did not work.
You could tell everything when Bamford did go off. It just kind of fell a bit flat. It would, and like I said, Rutter, he don't deserve the stick he's been getting. We're talking about, is he 20 years old?
He's 20, and if you don't count Accrington, which doesn't count, he's played like 40 minutes.
I was going to say, this is a young kid who people are kind of jumping on bandwagon here for me. He can't help his price tag. That has got nothing to do with him. And he don't deserve the stick he's been getting, but I just think the way Bamford, like we've all said, were leading that line and making a nuisance of himself. And we were in the game still at that point. And like I said, we had his chances, we were causing him problems, and I just like you said, but poor decision to take Bamford off.
It's why, as good as Harrison was, if he wanted Rutter on to try and have the attacking threat, he'd have probably been better off taking off Harrison and playing them both.
Yeah.
Or taking off one of the wingers, putting Harrison on the wing and playing them both.
Yeah.
Because the structure went apart once Bamford went, which is still a huge problem. That he's been out for most part of 2 years, and the structure still doesn't look right when he isn't there.
Yeah, I just think bringing Jorginho Rutter on. So...
Boo! That's mean.
So yeah, it's frustrating in as much as that, like you say, we need other players there that can continue that. And yeah, we might not have someone as good at it as Bamford, but we took 2 players off and then it just sort of fell apart, didn't it? Like, Aronson will press more, but I think he needed a Bamford there to sort of dictate to him, who goes and when. But, it's that thing of, yes, there's positives. If you're Jesse Marsch, it's probably the complete performance.
Oh God, I'm glad.
The players.
Just imagine his post-match press conferences after them too. Jesus.
Honestly, on the way back from Ellen Road, if we'd have listened to a Jesse Marsch press conference talking about that result in that performance, my dad would have crashed the fucking car.
That's it. We're not going through Rothwell. I'm just going off this bridge onto the M1.
Then after the changes, we still had a bit of threat, but that's when they got on top. Dallow at the bar. The first goal, it's a really good cross from Shaw. You can see KC pointed this out to me after. Somerville tear arsing back because he knows, shit, I've left him. It's a great crossfoot and it's a really good header. Rashford's in as good a form as anyone in the league.
Firpo, I felt quite sorry for here because I think when I look at it, I think it's Robin Koch that's not picked up a man. So you then get Verba and Firpo, who are sort of in between 3 attackers stood in the line. And, you've got to cover your bases, unfortunately. So
well, then, they've forgotten the main lesson.
Leave the man at the back post.
Did Jesse Marsch teach them nothing? Ignore the one at the back. He doesn't exist. And then the second goal, Ayling gambles on a tackle against Garnacho, flies in, gets nowhere near it. Luke Ayling had a fantastic game. This was just his one big egregious error. Yeah. Garnacho gets away. Robin Koch tries to come across, but he's knackered and Garnacho's rapid, and Garnacho just runs past him and finishes well. Meslier gets a touch and it is at the near post, but I think he sort of did him with eyes. Meslier, I think, thinks it's going the other way and he can't react. But it was very, very disappointing. But in the end, these next 2 games are the make or break ones rather than this one. Yeah. And going into it, something that I did not see coming 2 months ago, Luke Ayling got his place in the side back. Been really good the last couple of matches. Maybe should get subbed after 70 minutes because he's started looking knackered at the end of them. But Leeds have taken up the option to extend his contract by a year.
Over the moon. I am over the moon about that. He's like you say, he's probably not a full 90-minute player anymore, but he's solid. And for me, he's better than Christensen. So,
Yeah, well, that's I expect this definitely wasn't the plan. The plan was Christensen and Ayling for a year. Ayling leaves, and then you've got Christensen and Drama.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, that Jamaran kicked on, be it through his own fault or club's fault, however. But either way, he hasn't kicked on like people thought he were going to do. Christensen, when we signed Rasmus Christensen, again, I was over the moon about it because I thought it was very much like the idea of him was very much like Janssen. Art on his sleeve, go flying. That's what I was expecting of Rasmus Christensen. It's not what we got, but
and then Ruben Neves turned up.
Yeah,
yeah, that was like almost the first thing that happened, wasn't it? Him just getting knocked out, like it was nothing.
It was done by 5'7", and you're just there like, oh god, like because we'd watched him, like we'd been down to the last pre-season friendly of the summer, and I'm trying to remember who that was now.
Was that the one where we got sick? Was it Calumet?
It was Calumet.
Yes, you're right.
Calumet, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember watching him because he was like physically he's a beast. He could get up and down really well.
And him and Aronson were linking up really well in that friendly.
Yeah, and he was just looking going, this guy's a great find. And then it just hasn't got there. And again, I will say I do think part of his undoing what has been the tactics.
Yeah,
you get exposed a lot.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of things where you just think, no, you're just out of position here, and not just we've been caught on the counter. Like his positioning hasn't been there. I don't think he's looked as dominant in the air as someone his size probably should be. Yeah, I think I said to you, Jack, at some point, like the amount of times under Marsch we were pinging a ball down to Ayling, who would be on about the corner of their penalty area to head back inside. And I just don't remember us doing that as much under Christensen. Obviously, you were there more than I was, but I just...
We did do it, but not all that much. Obviously, the famous one would have been the Wolves game where we did that, and then Jose Sarr came out and punched Christensen in the face.
Oh, yeah.
And yet somehow it wasn't a penalty.
Good, clean challenge.
But that one at the Emirates in the Arsenal-Man City game somehow was...
Yeah.
That might well be a penalty, but that doesn't get given 95% of the time.
But I just think we Ayling, it's good to have around. Still, he's done more than enough, I think. I mean, when did he sign? Was it 2016 he came? 17, 16?
Oh, 16. I will look.
Was it Danny Monk that signed him?
I believe so.
He was there the year we had Carl Bartley on loan. I think that was his first season.
Yeah, that's the Gary Monk season.
Yeah.
It is 2016. Yeah, because, wasn't he recommended by... Didn't we get Bartley first and Bartley recommended Ayling?
Yeah, they're really...
I need
the best mate.
Yeah. But he's just... He's one of them players who gets it. He gets the fans, he gets the club. So I'm over the moon that he's staying.
Sorry, someone's been at Luke Ayling's wiki. Because I was just looking at his career stats. No games, no goals in the league for Arsenal. At Yeovil, 166 games, 574 goals.
What a machine.
At Bristol City, he got 622 in 80. And at Leeds, 735 in 223.
It's slowing up pace now, as I look at it. I take it back about this extension.
He's lost the ad.
Has Luke Ayling been shooting on... Connie's version of FIFA where he puts the power up to max and just like 40 yards, just smashing one in.
In all fairness, I think it may have been a year or two before we got him from Bristol City. He scored a load of goals in League One for them, if I remember rightly.
I'm just saying, if his actual was he got 4 for Bristol City in League One. The one that scored a shed load for him was Aidan Flint. He got like 18 in a season.
Aidan Flint, Jesus.
Yeah, but obviously, I've mentioned DCL is going to be out. Thank fuck, because he's their best striker by a mile. Although Neil Maupay always does well against us. From the press conference, we still have no Sinistera. Strauch is back in training. Because as much as it looked awful. It was a concussion. He would be out for a week, and then he'll be back. And Cooper and Rocker, he said, are both touch and go, which, based on recent history, I'm going to take to mean are unavailable. Because that's the way it sounded when he said things like that since he got the job.
It's a slightly worrying thing at the moment that we've obviously improved the squad, but the bench didn't look great on Sunday.
No.
No, it was very young, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jeremiah Mullins on there, and Montero was on the bench, wasn't he, as well?
On bench, yeah.
Well, but first question: do we change anything?
I don't think so.
No, not unless anything crops up in the meantime. But no.
So Melier in goal, Ayling like that, Cock and Verber, Firpo left back, Adams, McKennie, Somerville right, Nonto left, Harrison 10, Bamford up top. Yeah, I would be surprised if we change out given the performance we saw, unless there is some other injury thing that we don't know.
I firmly believe that if we play against Everton, well, moving forward for the rest of the season, if we play like we have done for the vast majority of these last 2 games, we stay up comfortably.
Yeah. I will just say, because it is probably the only question, Michael Brown's messages saying Pascal for Firpo. Possibly, but I don't think he will. I think Firpo's done well enough for the last 2 games to keep his spot.
I think it'd be harsh on him if he gets dropped.
Yeah, I think after all he's gone through being here, if you play like that against a top 4 team, and then you get dropped, I think it's a touch hard. And honestly, against a team like Everton, we've got to go for it.
Yeah,
you've got to play an attacking side.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look. Like Everton, both games under Dyche played 4-5-1. Obviously, some of the players have changed, but it's been 4-5-1 both times. And McNeil and Iwobi have sort of switched wings, so it'll be one of them running at whichever fullback. I suppose the good thing with the 5 subs thing is, like, if you play Firpo and he does pick up an early yellow again, if you think he's in trouble, you can sub him.
I say you've got the option there, haven't you? And you've got people there that can slot in.
This is a fair point, by the way, a follow-up from Michael Brown. We could do with Strauch at set pieces, Everton are very dangerous there. That is a fair point.
Yeah.
That is absolutely a fair point. He is definitely better in the air than Firpo. Although, I can't really place Firpo in the air because I've seen so little of him lately. There's no reason he shouldn't be decent in the air. He's relatively tall and he's
we're going to say
fairly athletic.
Short. Yeah.
see again though with Stroud, typically, like a good player to have there, but he becomes very timid when he's out of form, and it's
that's one of the reasons I think it'll stay Firpo.
Like I'm just thinking about who he could come up against, but like I know Connor Cody's not the biggest aerial target, but
Tarkovsky is.
Tarkovsky absolutely is.
This
seems like the sort of game to bring Yerry Mina back into just to piss Leeds fans off some more.
If he's fit, they may well do. Tarkovsky is. Onana's pretty big. Iwobi's not bad in the air either, and obviously there's no Calvert-Lewin. Neil Maupay isn't big, but he is fairly good in the air for someone who isn't.
Yeah, he's not tall, is he? But he does get up all right.
Yeah, it's like Ben Mee. It's like Ben Mee. I'm always shocked when you see Ben Mee and he's like 5'11" because he wins everything.
Should Mikolenko be playing for them?
As far as I'm aware, yeah, he's a
good player.
He's played the last 2, so he'll probably play.
He looks like he needs a hot dinner, but he's a good player.
Yeah, he's I think he's underrated by a few people, but I like him as well. He's not a bad player.
Yeah, they're midfield 3 for the last 2 games, so I don't think it'll change. They've had Idrissa Gueye as like the holding player, and then Onana and Doucouré either side.
You see, in
theory, that's a really good midfield.
It is, but you look at it now. Gueye isn't the player he was, obviously. Doucouré is all right for me. You take Onana out of that 3. That doesn't really strike any fear into me, that midfield 3, other than Onana.
Yeah, I do wonder if we do press it with the same 4, And this is the thing that's going to be difficult. If we press with 4 like we did in the last game, you're going to have those, even if Gay drops in, Onana, Doucouré versus McKennie and Adams.
Your money's on ours.
Against Doucouré, it is. I think they'll struggle to deal with Onana's running from deep. Because better teams than us struggle with that.
Yeah.
But it's why I think they might just low block and go long.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, I'd fancy at this stage. I'd fancy Nonto against Seamus Coleman.
Yeah.
Who
34
else have they got? Who else have they got for right back if needed? Because like is Holgate still out?
He was on the bench against
Liverpool. Against Liverpool, but I don't know how fit he actually is.
I think we talked about this before. Like, there's some good players there, but I don't think getting Deitch in is going to be so transformative to their performances.
No.
I wonder how much getting Lampard out will be.
Yeah. I found it very, very interesting and sort of it was interesting to see them go with Sims against Liverpool in a game like that as opposed to Mopai. And I know that's so they've got the option to go long.
I've just remembered who it is, by the way. I don't know and I've just Googled him to see if he's injured, and he's playing for the 21s, so he might be back. Nathan Patterson's the other right back.
He's not a bad player either. I forgot about him. I think
Oh, cheers again, Michael. Just as I looked it up, Patterson. He's looked pretty decent when I've seen him.
Yeah, solid, isn't he? Is he? He's Irish, isn't he?
No, he's Scottish. But he was
Welsh.
I can see why you might think Northern Irish because he was Rangers, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And there is an association.
Yeah.
The only other ones of note, really, that we haven't mentioned, like who might be involved. Obviously, Ellis Sims might play ahead of Rorpe, but probably Damari Gray is the main one that we haven't mentioned at all.
He's very
streaky.
Yeah, fits in spurts, how we're going to put it. But yeah, he's when he's good, he's good. But when he's bad, God, he's awful. Yeah.
I suppose if you Deitch at the moment, you're probably looking at your two wide men and going, well, I know Dwight McNeil and Alex Iwobi probably has a lot more defensive ability than.
Yeah, well, and also Alex Iwobi, first half of the season was probably Everton's best player.
And he was playing centre mid for most of that.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be the main thing with this is I can't even remember what company it was that put this out. But there was a document going around, and it had the sort of amount of jeopardy on each fixture, and this game was a 99 out of 100. Like it's about as important as it could be. This game, I sort of have to lump this in with the Southampton game because they are a pair. What's the minimum number of points that we have to get from these two?
4.
Yeah, it's got to be 4. That draws against teams that in and around us now are going to do very little.
Yeah,
we've really got to be catching West Ham, Wolves.
Yeah,
because I mean, if you catch up that pack in front of us, Crystal Palace are 12th on 25.
Yeah.
If you get results go your way 1 or 2 weekends, you're all of a sudden you've got a bit of daylight in between you and the rest of the bottom 3.
Yeah.
But we absolutely need to win the games of those around us now, because these are the last 2 before it becomes really patchy, where it's play someone good, play someone around us, play someone else good, play someone else around us. It's this run of games before they moved the other Scum game again was a chance for us to really build a bit of momentum on and get some points off the teams around us.
You see, for me, I think the Everton game is a must not lose, provided they can get 3 against Southampton.
Yeah, which isn't going to be Jesse Marsch's Southampton.
No.
Which,
damn.
look, it's nothing to do with how highly you rate him. If they got Marsch, they were winning at Ellen Road, because that's what happens in football.
I think I said to you guys, actually, I was very surprised at him looking at that job, because even though he got the sack, if it doesn't go well at Southampton, which, given where they are, is very likely, you're essentially on the hook for 2 relegations in a season from the same division.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very risky strategy. And I know the thinking is probably, well, my family's already here, so it makes sense.
It'll give them clarity. It'll
yeah, the clarity to at least know where we'll be living for the next 18 months.
Yeah.
But I honestly, and again, I mean, no ill will towards him, because, as we've said time and time again, I think he was a really nice guy. I just don't think his tactics work. But for his own sake, I just think, no, don't take that. Don't get that job.
So if he takes that Southampton job and he is essentially held accountable for 2 relegations if we go as well, he's finished in this country. And
yeah,
I think in most major European countries.
Yeah, in your top 5 leagues, yeah, probably so.
I hear Applewell is a good place to go.
Yeah. Applewell, the city of Applewell, is lovely this time of year.
That's my favourite city, is Applewell. How do you spell that? Well, block capitals.
Next we go to the city of Real.
So teams playing Real, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So last time out was our first successful betting weekend ever, I think, for both of us. I had Scum -1 as much as I didn't want it to be. You had Rashford, Fernandes, and Nonto all to have a shot on target at 5-1. They both won. And I had it as 2-0 Scum as well for the points. So, we are actually now dead even with our betting, Casey, with a incredibly impressive -135.
Good job I don't gamble.
Fortunately, my real life one is marginally better. But going into this one, I cannot bring myself to not be positive for this one, because I'm just too depressed not to be. So I'm going to say we win this 1-0.
Clean sheet. I'm going to say I'm getting KC special 2-1. Solid. It's just easier this way.
And Connie, seeing as you're here,
I'm gonna go and say it's gonna be 3-2 to Leeds. There's gonna be goals in it.
Oh God, we've all gone for a win. We're fucked.
There's gonna be goals.
I think there probably will be goals, because I don't think either team's good enough defensively for there to not be.
Yeah.
And as for my bet, there is a special that Sky Bet have got that I think is pretty good given the way he's been playing recently. Somerville 2 shots on target or more, 5-1.
Ooh, on target.
Yeah.
Risky. I'm going to go. I've got Jack Harrison to score any time at 5-1.
Oh, it's an any time it's 5-1.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Considering how he's 12-1 first goal scorer, which
yeah. I mean, he hasn't been scoring many lately, so I understand why, but he's playing quite high up the pitch. So yeah, I don't think that's bad.
And I haven't had a bet for a long time, so I haven't even had a look.
Oh no, there's no there's no point.
I'm going to say that, and it could be another 48 episodes until I'm back again after this. Who knows?
The kids are not on half term next time.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. But no, this game is fucking massive. Like,
bigger than huge. I
don't know what I'm working during this, and no one better ask me to do anything. Because I won't refuse to do it, but I will not be concentrating. So, like, get someone else.
It's one of them, you'll be there in body.
Yeah.
Who should do my work? Someone else.
Yeah, someone else. Also, I was absolutely fuming that I didn't think of the joke with when Lisa's playing saxophone and it makes Homer cry. So she switches to playing When the Saints Go Marching In and he starts dancing. And someone just put Marsh after his firing from Leeds.
When the Saints go over.
Yeah, and I just thought, fuck, I should have thought of that. But yeah, that will do us for episode 201 of the Mike White's podcast. This game, if we win it, all bets are off, and it could genuinely lead to a proper run if we win this. And equally, if we lose this, it could turn really fucking poisonous. Yeah. And it won't be at Skubala because it's not his fault. But
no, not at all. No,
if we go to Goodison Park and get beat 2-0, and it's comfortable, then like the fans will completely turn on the board.
It can't
and
be
they're already nearly there.
I mean, just think of our performance at Goodison Park last season under Bielsa. Like, it was absolutely shit. And we hit the bar a couple of times in that game, but we were dreadful throughout.
Yeah, Rodrigo hit the bar from miles out, didn't he? With like half volley.
Yeah.
But we were shite in that game.
It worries me, like you've just said, Jack. If I think even if the performance is something like, I think unless we go out there and do basically what we did against Man United and we get at least a point, I think the board's getting turned on big time. It's come to a point now where we've had, I mean, again, it sounds like I hark back a lot to Bielsa, but the way Bielsa ended, I didn't think it just lacked class to me. Way it will lead to press and everything. It deserved more than that.
I mean, it was out before we got back to the car, leaving the ground.
Yeah, and it's harsh anyway. But to do that to someone who did what he did for club, the city, everything, we had that. Then we've had the whole Jesse Marsch era, if you want to call it that, and then we've had the shit show that's ensued afterwards, and all the while we haven't kicked on. Since that first season in Premier League, we've just gone backwards, and there doesn't seem to be any sign of it changing.
It's perfectly set up for him to turn on them if this goes wrong.
Yeah.
So God, I hope it doesn't come to it, because a point is not a disaster, but God, if we could win this game, it'd be so big.
It's one of them. If you could turn around to me and say you're going to get 3 points, guarantee us 3 points against Southampton, a draw wouldn't be the end of the world on Saturday. But yeah,
right, we all good to go then?
Yeah.
Nice one. Not? Right, well, in that case, we will be back early next week, hopefully in a good mood. I've been Jack. See you.
I'm Casey.